Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Tonight is a solemn yet special occasion as we honor and remember 6 of the Arc's participants who have passed since April this year. Sadly, with this pandemic, we were unable to hold the usual memorials for each person. So tonight is an opportunity to share fond memories and keep their spirits near to us. We remember Donna Barry, who attended the Shaw program here at the Arc Centre. James Skeets, affectionately known as Chamberlain, who lived in the Alexandra Group Home and who attended the Western Monmouth Achievement Centre. We remember Cheryl Graham, who lived in the Burgerville Group Home. We remember Richard Kramer, who participated in the Recreation Circles Club. And we remember Robert Shorer, who attended the Green Grove Achievement Centre. And lastly, but certainly by no means least, we remember Denise Terranova, who lived at the Burgerville Group Home and who attended the Western Monmouth Achievement Centre. The extended Arc family has lost many people this year: parents, siblings, children, neighbors and friends, some due to COVID and others for a variety of reasons. To honor the memories of all who have passed in 2020 and to remember our loved ones, please join us for a moment of silence. I would now like to invite Eileen McDonnell to say a few words, introduce our other speakers for tonight.
Good evening. The word remember has European origins and combines 2 words, meaning to render present. This evening, we've asked members of our ARC staff who came to know and love the individuals whose lives we celebrate to share some of their personal reflections and some of the ways they have been touched by these dear ones. The first person to speak this evening will be Mary Beth Kelosi, who is the manager of the Burgerville Group Home, and she will share about Cheryl and Denise.
Denise Terranova came to Burgerville as an emergency placement, and it was the first time living anywhere outside of her own home and away from her mother and the support system that she had at home. And she was quiet when she first came to us. I think it was just such a new situation that she really didn't know what to make of it. She didn't know who to trust. And it was really great to see her get comfortable and see all that she could accomplish. When she first came, her mother was a little upset at seeing the things that the other residents could do. And she really didn't think that Denise was going to be able to accomplish the same kind of things. And she couldn't have been more wrong, because Denise, obviously we had to adapt. That's what we do. We adapt to make them be able to accomplish things on their own. And she accomplished so much, and she really enjoyed being able to do things by herself. And she was a joy to have around. She was always happy, but there were certain things that really sparked this look on her face and this excitement. She would literally squeal with excitement if you mentioned certain things. If you put Michael Jackson music on, her face would light up. If you would talk about her sister Jen, she would say her name and she would hug herself and she would just light up with happiness. Also with McDonald's. If you mention McDonald's or pizza, she really loved those things. Apparently it was something that she was used to at home. And so if you mentioned it, she got this great joy on her face. And I think it was really great to see her blossom into this person who could do things for herself, who could make her own choices and accomplish things regardless of whether she needed accommodations or not. And she just, her smile is missed, her joy is missed. And I will never watch Dirty Dancing and not think of Denise, as it was her favorite movie. She constantly asked to watch Baby, and she pretty much watched it every night. And I'm pretty sure every regular staff at Burgerville can recite that movie from beginning to end. And, we put that and Annie on. That was another favorite of hers when we miss her and we want to remember her and, the joy that she brought to the household. Cheryl Graham was already a resident at Burgerville when I started 7 years ago, and I would dub her the mother hen of the house. She was always looking out for her housemates. I loved when she would try to sign to one of her deaf housemates. I thought that was really great that she made the attempt and that she wanted to communicate with him in a way that he would understand. And it didn't matter if she didn't get it right. It was the fact that she made the attempt. And she was always really great with new staff. She would let them know, one of her housemates couldn't eat a certain thing, or one of them had to put their feet up when they came home from program. And I think she just really got a lot of joy out of helping and being a help. And I think it made her feel, wanted and important and needed. And we really love that about Cheryl. And another great thing about Cheryl is she loved arts and crafts. She would sit at the kitchen table and color for hours these beautiful pictures, and she would give them to her housemates, especially if somebody was sick. She wanted to make them a picture and take it, so somebody could take it to the hospital or to mail it out somewhere. And one year she colored a picture of Shirley Temple, and it was entered into the Monmouth County Fair, and she won a prize for it. And I remember taking her to the fair so that she could see it displayed with her ribbon. And then once the fair was over, we got it back, and we always displayed it very prominently in the kitchen in Burgerville so that she could always see her accomplishment and so that we could see it. And I think it was really great that she had this tangible piece of accomplishment in something that she did that she could always show off. And she loved to show it off, and all of her other artwork and her needlepoint and painting she did. And, we really miss having her art around the house, and we really miss Cheryl.
Next, we're going to hear from Natasha Reeves at the Alexandria Group Home, manager there, and she's going to speak to us this evening about Skeets.
Hi, guys. I'm elated and honored to be a part of this celebration. I'm sorry. I'm elated and honored to be a part of this celebration, to remember our beloved Skeets. I wasn't there for too long. I actually just started in April of 2019 when I began to manage the home over there at Alexandria. Skeets wasn't the same Skeets that everybody was talking about, prior, because he was well into his dementia. But his spirit was on a bad day when you came into work, when you came to help Skeets, or he brought joy to your heart. And he was a positive spirit, like a good soul, The guys loved him, his peers. Just the other day, one of the clients said, "Tasha, I miss Donnie." And we still have his pictures up. It's kind of hard to remove him from the home because he was there, at the home for such a long time. I don't know, have many memories of him, other than when I was there in April of 2019, until he transitioned into life, departed us in May of 2020. His family was a great, support, Tom and his wife. And I never met any of his other family, but he was a wonderful spirit, everyone. And for me, it's kind of, with the other Cheryl too, I'm sorry, because I had Cheryl when she was in my program too, because I'm kind of choked up about that too. But it's a trying time for all of us. And for Skeets, he was just an angel. To be honest with you, he was a good spirit and a good soul. That's all I can say. I can't write down anything. It's nothing that you can print and write down to explain how wonderful this person was, you know, and for him not to be here with us today.
Thank you, Latasha. Next, we're going to hear from Margie London, who's the Director of Recreation, and she's going to talk to us about Richard.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm very grateful to be here tonight to celebrate Richard Kramer, as well as all our participants, their life, and what it means to us and how we remember them. Richard Kramer was a very quirky individual. And one of the things that I remember most about him was how well dressed he always was. He always had a nice shirt and then a nice vest on top. And ironically, when I asked his sister, Susan, that's here tonight, for a picture of Kramer, she sent me a picture with a shirt and he had a vest on. And I said, it's funny what we remember about people and how they touch us in so many different ways. Richard belonged to one of my recreation groups called the Circles Group. Now, this is a group that actually is very hands-on by the participants. There's a secretary, there's a president, and they run everything. I just supervise. And a quick story, the first time I met Richard, we were having a social meeting for the circles, and we had a karate instructor come and they were doing an exhibition. And one of our participants is here tonight, Tara. She was actually doing some of the katas and the different forms they were practicing and showing us what it is that they do. And Richard Kramer had no interest. He had no interest whatsoever. He was in the back where the desserts were. And I remember I was putting out the desserts with some of the volunteers. And he was like, what's that? What kind of cake is it? What's in there? Who picked the cake? When are we going to eat? And it was just like, that's what I remember. He had just a great appetite. And he had me laughing throughout the whole thing. So that's what I remember. He had a good sense of humor, and that all our participants in the Circles meeting, I will tell you that they have a very special bond. And you know, it's interesting because you see them and they don't always see each other, but when they do, they have each other's back, regardless of how often they see each other. And I want to tell Susan that he will be missed, and everyone at the Arc, at the Recreation Department, at Circles, misses him. And we celebrate tonight, Richard, and all our participants, when they move, they pass on to something else. And so that's my story. Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Mary Louise Anderson, who is fondly known to all of us as Louie. She's the Assistant Director of Adult Services, and she's going to speak to us tonight about some of her memories of Bob and Donna.
Oh, hi, everybody. This is me, Louie. If somebody called for Mary Louise, I would not even probably turn around to acknowledge that. But hey, I know that Latasha was speaking of Skeets. I happen to have known Skeets from many, many years ago when he was living at Mark Manor. So we're going back to the 80s. That's how long I've been here, just saying. But, and he went to Western Monmouth, and we always used to say, be like Skeets, because Skeets was a beautiful soul. It was just, he was always positive and happy, and we love that in a person. So I will always remember Skeets, and also coining the phrase when somebody else was having a problem, be like Skeets. Can't you be a little more like Skeets? So that's my Skeets. We'll go on to Donna Barry, who I knew from the Shore program. Donna had started at the Shore program with her identical twin sister, Pam. And they came to us from another program that her family was felt that the Arc would be a better fit for them. And indeed, they were. I think we were. The girls flourished here. Donna was certainly the more outspoken of the sisters. She was more outgoing, and she was able to express her joy and her displeasure very easily, and Pam was very shy. Pam left us a couple of years ago. She passed on. And Donna was, you could tell that had affected Donna, since they had always been together their entire life, done everything, lived together, gone to program together their whole life. And they had an extremely supportive family, which they were very fortunate to have, a very supportive family. Donna cherished her stuffed animals. She had some stuffed animals that she loved so much that they frequently required repair. And of course, you would never want to replace them because those were her animals. So we did get very skilled in the art of darning. I know my grandmother taught me how to darn. Some people probably don't even know what that is, but it's a very good skill. She also loved music, especially the oldies. She would love to move to the beat of her favorite songs. They had to be upbeat. She would also play hand instruments, which she also loved. She also, one of her things was she loved playing with balls, large inflatable balls, and she took pleasure into tossing the balls to her staff and her peers. Also, there was the pool noodle. You remember, there's another gal that's here with us too. We had pool noodles that we would soften rough edges throughout the program, and Donna really enjoyed a rousing game of hitting people with the pool noodle, and she would get such delight from that. She laughed hysterically, which of course we thought was funny too, but we did try to stir her to hit inanimate objects, which was really good. One of my fondest memories was with her dad, Carl, who used to come to the program. Carl and his wife and her mom used to come all the time, and a special moment was when Carl came, and apparently Donna and Carl had shared the love of this one particular song over the years, and they used to do sing-alongs. And we didn't really realize that Donna was as vocal as she was until she started singing with her father. And it was a very special song, and it was in a different language, but when translated, it was quite colorful, very colorful, and humorous, which also we laughed and laughed for a long time over that. It's too bad Carl isn't here. He might be able to sing us a few bars of that. And as I said, sadly, we lost Pam a couple of years ago, and now Donna is has left to be with her, and I'm sure that they are watching over all that cared for her. There you go. That was Donna. And now we have my Bob Schwartz. Bob, I've known Bob for 30 years. He had a very unsettled upbringing. He didn't have any friends or family to speak of, which was something that he always wanted. He had moved from place to place from the time he was a very small child, when he was abandoned by his own family. And anyway, he just always wanted a connection, and it wasn't very easy for Bob to make friends. So I met Bob at the Western Monmouth Day program, as I said, over 30 years ago. And since Bob didn't really have anyone, he was, I don't know, I'm the friend to the friendless. I'll just put it that way. I am the friend to the friendless, and Bob and I developed a very special, genuine friendship and bond over the years. His community life was very limited. His social life was even less than that. And we started hanging out together at the day program. He would come in and talk to me. We shared a love of music. And he had a cassette player. He had a boombox that had a cassette player and a DVD player, and you could transfer the cassettes onto a CD. I wish I had taken stock in that, because I did. Virtually gave Bob my entire cassette collection, because I am that old, and had many cassette tapes. And then, of course, as technology grew, I gave him 90% of my CD collection as well. And then, of course, we had to go shopping for more as time went on, because over 30 years, you run out of stuff. But anyway, he had a love for photography. I got him a camera. We would go out and he would take pictures of all his favorite things. Cars at car lots. He loved to go see car dealerships. He was all over it. Boats and trucks, and then take pictures of staff with their personal cars. And then we made a tradition of going out and developing all the pictures at Walgreens. Bob and I, and then we'd go out to lunch at Subway, and he was the one that introduced me to eating cucumbers on my sandwiches, because it is delicious, and if you haven't tried it, it's very refreshing. We'd also go to Walmart to get maybe even more CDs. It could have happened. The library, AC Moore, where I bought him, I think, every model car that could ever be built, because he loved doing model cars. And then, of course, his biggest passion was collecting business cards, hats and pins for his hats, which many of us in the art community contributed to his collection. He cherished his time living with his longtime sponsor, Mary, who was the only other person he had known for any length of time in his life. But as she aged on, he had to move to a group home, which was difficult for him to transition to a new environment. He had never been in a group home setting in his adult life anyway. And then he had subsequent failing health issues. And but I think he was comforted to know that the only constant in his life that was sustained relationships was with me and the rest of his ARC family.
Thank each of you for your heartfelt sharing this evening. In closing, I wanted to share a story that's paraphrased from a poem by Henry Van Dyke entitled, "I Am Standing Upon the Seashore." A group of friends had gathered together at the shore side of a lake to help send off a friend who was going on a journey. The small sailboat was beautiful, and the friend had all she needed for the trip. Everyone was jubilant and happy for the friend's new adventure. As the boat left the shoreline, the image of their friend seemed to get smaller and smaller and smaller, so that she could hardly be seen. Then someone said, "She's gone." But another person said, "Gone from our sight, but not really gone." And at just that moment, the friends that had gathered started to hear a sound from the shore's other side. There were the sound of clapping and cheering and really happy people, and they could actually make out the words. And what they said and what they heard was, "Here she comes. Here she comes." So, for Cheryl and Denise, Skeets, Richard, Bob, and Donna, life has changed, not ended. The beautiful light they each brought to us through their very lives shines on in our cherished memories and in the sacred places they will forever hold in our hearts. Thank you all for joining us this evening.